Hi, welcome to our topic 5, where we shall be studying about the human and environment relationship and why are we suffering today from an ecological imbalance. As we studied in our previous topic of biodiversity, we should now be well aware of the fact that biodiversity is the foundation of life on earth and the reason of sustenance of life on earth. It supports all the vital processes, starting from as simple as a water cycle, to pollination, to soil fertility, to climate regulation, temperature regulation, and maintenance of a harmonious balance between man and the nature. The human environment relationship is a core fundamental to understanding why environmental studies are so important, because the acts of humans have a big impact on the environment, and we sadly are the reason of the ecological imbalance that we see today. We shall also be doing a small recap of the case study that we did about the Western Ghats, where we studied that the Western Ghats, which were once a hotspot of diversity due to human encroachment, due to urbanization, due to deforestation, now suffer, that the UNESCO has declared it as a heritage site so that we might protect it. The case study that we did highlighted the importance of why and how humans should have a love towards the environment. So let's begin our topic for today with also another case study that we will be doing in a while. But firstly, let's begin with understanding what is human environment relationship. It refers to the reciprocal interaction between human societies and their natural surroundings. The interaction between human societies and their surroundings. Things that we studied: biodiversity, ecosystems, relations, structural units, functional units, interactions. All those interactions are called relationships between human and environment. Next, what does the human behavior, human habit have as an impact on environment? Human intervention alters the environment processes through agriculture, industries, and urbanization. Now, as humans, we might say that it's justified. We need to grow crops, we need to have agriculture, we need to have industry, we need to flourish our economy, we need to have urbanization because there's a lot of migration into the cities. But all of this self centric thought is altering the environment. Environment how? Environment which used to provide us with air, water, soil, and raw materials like fossil fuels is now suffering. Now the air we breathe is not clean. The water we drink is not pure. The soil is not fertile. The biodiversity is shrinking, like the example, I'll write it over here. The example of Western Ghats. So all of this that the environment used to provide us because of human intervention has seen some sort of downfall. Geographical and ecological conditions shape human culture, settlement, patterns, and economic activities. How can a geography and ecology, meaning the ecosystems present over there, the setup of environment over there, how does that shape a human culture? How does that shape a human settlement? How does that shape a human pattern and economic activity? Well, let's first start with human culture. How in India we have different cultures in the north, to different cultures in the south, to different cultures in the east, to different cultures in the west. Why do you think is that? Geography has a lot of bearing over it. Geography has a lot of bearing on what we wear, on what we eat, on what we grow. That's how geography has bearing on our culture. The settlement, the pattern, the economic activity. Economic activity. In North India, we have good soil because of the rivers that flow. So we have more agriculture happening over there. In the south, we have the peninsula surrounded by the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Therefore, we have more fisheries and more marine economic activities. In the east side, again, we have a lot of ecological diversity, is why the forest areas over here, the Sundarbans, which we shall be dealing in this topic today, have a lot of human cultural impact, economic activity impact. Anthropogenic actions. What is the meaning of anthropogenic actions? Anthropogenic actions means human actions. These actions contribute to environmental challenges such as climate change, deforestation, and pollution. The acts of humans have a bearing on the environment. Sadly, the impact that we have had is not very good. We have caused climate change, we have caused deforestation, we have caused pollution. Whereas the tribals that we once discussed in our previous topic, the tribals, the forest dwellers, these are the people who sustain environment, unlike us who are exploiting the environment and such tribals. Sustainable management, our relationship with the environment should be of a sustainable management. Or what? Of natural resources. For what? Because it's vital for our human well-being and ecological balance. Like we studied, let me just clear this up first. We go. Like we studied in the previous topic of biodiversity. In the topic of biodiversity, we studied how this biodiversity is important in three ways: in the ecological way, in the economic way, and in the ethical way. Right? Now, because this biodiversity was so important, is why we have to be mindful of its management. For it's for our own good only. Again, let's be selfish things that we have been and do it for ourselves. Sustainable management is important for human well-being and ecological balance. William Wordsworth, a very famous poet, has said, "Nature never did betray the heart that loved her." So very beautifully and poetically, William Wordsworth had said that nature, if you love her, she will never betray you. So let's be humans. Let's love nature. Let's not betray nature. Let's, for the sake of ecology, economy, and for our own moral ethics, sustainably manage natural resources. If we don't, which we also have not been doing, it's leading to an ecological imbalance. What is ecological imbalance? As the word suggests, it is when a natural or human caused disturbance disrupts the natural balance of ecosystem. So if you leave nature on its own, like we saw during the COVID-19 lockdown, right? During the lockdown, we saw we were all home and there were less cars, there was less pollution. I mean, apart from every sad thing that was happening in COVID, we were home for reason whatsoever. We did see that we could see the mountains from a city as polluted as Delhi. Like, imagine a small little lockdown of a few months restored the natural balance of an ecosystem. So, on the contrary, when we as humans are out on the roads using one car per person, using our own sweet will to destroy and exploit the nature, using water like it's still not an issue, that causes an ecological imbalance. And this imbalance is caused by what sort of factors? It could be natural, which is very rare that a natural reason causes an ecological imbalance. It's mostly human caused. The reason could be deforestation. Let's categorize this. Deforestation, human based. Habitat destruction, human based. Or this could be, let's say, like when a forest fire happens, could be a natural cause. Industrialization, again a human factor. Overexploitation of natural resources by fishing, mining, again a human factor. Urbanization, purely human factor. Intensive agriculture, use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, so human. Now, as we know, there's a famous saying that is, what you sow is what you reap. जो आप बोवोगे वही आपको मिलेगा. तो अगर आप ये सब करोगे तो होगा भी वही सब. There will be a loss of biodiversity. A reminder again of the Western Ghats. Extinction of species like the dodo. Disruption of food chains, soil degradation, increase in the frequency of natural disasters. How does this happen? Increase in the frequency of natural disasters because we are disturbing the natural balance of an ecosystem. Of course, natural disasters will happen. There will be more soil erosion, which will lead to the mountainous roads that we have seen happen to completely fall away, erode away, causing a lot of natural calamities. The ice caps that are melting, they are melting, and there's an increase in the water levels otherwise, right? Global warming again, extreme weather conditions, so hot or so cold, nothing in the middle. Negative impact on human health, of course. All these are the consequences that we are going to bear of an ecological imbalance. If what? If the human environment relationship is not kept in mind during our activities. Before we jump to the question about which activity primarily contributes to ozone depletion, there's a small case study that we should do. Let me clear this up first. Right. So the case study that we'll be doing today is the case study of the Sundarbans. So the Sundarbans are the largest mangrove forests of India, of the world. Where are these located? Where the Ganga forms its delta. So you can imagine where the river Ganga forms its delta is where we have the Sundarbans, is why it's the largest mangrove forest of the world. This Sundarbans की biodiversity, this Sundarbans is example of close association of humans, animals and environment. So in this Sundarbans, you must know we have the royal, yes, you're right, the Royal Bengal tiger, the national animal of India. Now, the Sundarbans are home to not only the Royal Bengal tiger or the mangroves, but they are also, because it's a delta area and it's a mangrove, so there have to be a lot of aquatic species as well. And also, you will be surprised to know about the human interaction over here, that 4.5 million people, 4.5 million is the number of people who are dependent on Sundarbans for their livelihood. So these 4.5 million people depend on the Sundarbans for their livelihood. This livelihood ranges from the, like, because we have mangroves here, we have aquatic here, we have the Royal Bengal tiger here. The livelihood is as diverse as from fishing, let me make it clear again so that the human, I'll write it over here, human, animal, environment, relationship, case study, Sundarbans. Hope it's readable. And we were writing that the Sundarbans, they have mangrove trees, they have the delta of Ganga, they have the Royal Bengal tiger and countless aquatic species, is why almost 4.5 million people have their livelihood over here. In their livelihood, we have activities like fishing, honey collection, wood and agriculture. Now, this is what a healthy livelihood used to be way back, roughly 20 to 30 years ago. But over the last 20 to 30 years, the human dependence, the terrible human nature that it is, the human dependence has increased considerably, leading to a lot of deforestation, leading to a lot of poaching, and to something that we read earlier known as environmental stress, due to which there has been climate change, there have been coastal submerging, there have been increased salinity in the soil, making it infertile, and therefore the communities that used to rely on the Sundarbans, it has led to their shifting. So the symbiotic relationship that earlier existed is now over. To address these challenges, community based conservation efforts are important. To maintain the ecological balance again, sustainable practices are important. To make Sundarbans one of the most beautiful mangrove forests in the world healthy again, ecotourism is important, reforestation is important, and alternative livelihood training refers that the people should not be solely heavily dependent on these forests only. There should be an alternative livelihood training, such as you can do crab farming, you can do honey production without entering those particular reserve zones into the forest, without going into the tiger zones, without affecting the Royal Bengal tigers ecosystem. You can do other sustainable livelihood options. So, this case study that we just did of the Sundarbans, where once it was a beautifully ecologically symbiotic relationship between what our topic is today, the human environment relationship, but now turning into an ecological imbalance. Using sustainable practices, we must restore what it once was before. We need to reduce the economic pressure. We need to improve the community's behavior, community's habits, community's dependence on this forest area. We should not only be worried about, oh, what our urbanization will say, oh, what our infrastructure will say, oh, where our economy will go. It's high time we develop sustainable practices which help both the nature and the humans to thrive together. That is what we also studied in the topic of biodiversity. Peaceful coexistence, human environment relationship. So, the key takeaways from this could be peaceful coexistence, alternative livelihood training, afforestation. On what alternative livelihood trainings, like if you're in a forest, you need not go to the tiger spots, you need not go to the ecologically dense spots, but you can do something as basic as honey production, you can do crab fishing, you can do other aquatic animal fishing. You need not necessarily disturb a major ecosystem to fill in your pockets. That's not sane. You have to maintain a balance. So the key takeaway from this topic of human environment relationship and the study of the Sundarbans tells us what we should be doing now is focusing towards ecological balance. That is what we should be doing. A quick recap. Let's love nature, because rest be assured, nature is never going to betray you if you love her, nourish her, protect her. Let's cut this list short. Let's cut this list shorter so that this list automatically becomes a little lesser. And now the trivia time. Which activity primarily contributes to ozone depletion? So ozone is the layer that protects our atmosphere. Sorry, my earth is not very round. So we have this atmosphere, and there's an ozone layer that helps the UV rays from entering into the atmosphere. So why is this ozone layer being depleted? Is it because of organic farming? Is it because of the use of chlorofluorocarbons? Is it because of afforestation, or is it because of ecotourism? The answer should be with you, and I hope we took away something meaningful from this topic. I'll see you for our other topics of environmental studies and sustainable living. Till then, this is the end of module number 1. Thank you.